Got new wheels, got a new board.
Went out for a ride. It's just...
Can you skate on ice with a longboard? A near useless review of Orangatang Dad Bods and the Pantheon Supersonic. At the end of 2022, Orangatang was set to release a new large wheel, the Dad Bods. By the time I got a set, we were already covered under a foot of snow here in Calgary. Snow tends to get in the way of skateboard wheels, but over my years I've found that you can push through fresh snow as long as it's about 1/3 of the height of your wheel. Considering they're 105 millimeters in diameter, there may be some hope of me being able to ride them. Then one evening I was speaking to Adam Ornells about the difficulties of winter life as a skater.
Hey, Paul.
Hey Adam, I replied.
I was putting these ice studs into my wheels, so that way I could ride and commute to work without...
As I attentively listened to Adam as he bounced his idea off of me, an image of a skateboard surfing on a frozen mountain lake appeared in my head.
Cut out these holes so that way you can fit the drum.
First, I would need a board. I used to race against the owner of Pantheon, and it was time to call in a favor. Hey Jeff, remember when I took that world championship off your hands? The new Pantheon Supersonic. This thing will be perfect. Like Adam, I too ordered studs and a Forstner bit from Amazon. Check the description for links. Then I got straight to work. 1 month later, that is. This will be a perfect excuse to avoid spending time with the in-laws. Quick inventory. Studs, Forstner bit, skate tool, bushings, bolts, nuts, a socket, the Dad Bod wheels, the Pantheon Supersonic, some old Skate Kings risers, some Riptide risers, Bear Gen 6 40 degree 130 millimeter trucks, Bones bearings with built-in spacers, Phil's waterproof grease, calipers, an electric cordless drill, and a knife. As far as I could figure, the first thing to do would be prep the wheels. I had ordered 100 studs, that's 25 per wheel. Dad Bods are 105 millimeters wide. I figured out the circumference and divided that by 25. I carefully marked the first wheel, then copied the marks onto the others. It's time to screw these wheels up. I drilled pockets with the Forstner bit. And then it was time to add the studs. Uh-oh, the tool is too wide for the pockets. Maybe I should have listened to Adam more carefully.
Large Forstner makes holes so that way you can fit driver.
I took my stud socket and ground a taper into it so it would fit the 1/4-inch pocket. This'll do nicely. I chose studs with a 12 millimeter thread so I could ride more aggressively, without the studs pulling out. Look at this handsome stud. Once I was done, I admired my handiwork. I definitely didn't make any mistakes here.
That's so stupid. I should ask Orangatang for a new one. You know those wheels that were $150? Well, I just fricked one of them up.
With 4 stud bods now complete, it was time to build the rest of the board. I coated the axles and packed some Bones bearings with Phil's waterproof grease to prevent them from rusting. For more information, check out this video I made on how I waterproof my skateboards. And now it's time to put everything together. This thing will be perfect. Low clearance for large wheels, and it has options for the rear truck angle. I'll set it up so I don't get any turning on my back truck, preventing the rear from moving out from under my balance when on slippery surfaces like ice and snow. Once mounted on the board, I gave it a quick roll in the shop.
Sounds so crunchy.
Unfortunately, due to it being Christmas, my girlfriend asked I not be weird and disappear and go skating instead of spending time with the family. Foiled by Christmas again.
Fuck off.
So over the next couple days, I take it out for a few short tests. Between servings of almond tarts and juice. So far it seems promising, but I have a little trouble. Bumpy ice is not an ideal test surface because it seems to lift the wheels and the studs don't contact the ice consistently. But it is far better than riding without studs. I do have a problem with my feet slipping. I noticed the alley deer with their spiky hooves don't seem to be having the same issue. I search Amazon for deer hooves, but end up settling on spikes for my feet. My girlfriend and I decide it might be nice to drive a 600-kilometer round trip to Abraham Lake, Alberta. I suggest we can search for methane bubbles hidden under the ice.
Popping smell like farts. It's kind of working.
Once there, I ditch her in the middle of a frozen lake while I skate around like a fool. It seems to work pretty well as long as I stay on flat ice, but months of freezing and melting snowfall has left the surface lumpy. To make matters worse, we showed up fairly late in the day, and temperatures were beginning to drop. As it gets colder, the lake ice here gets super hard. It makes for fast skating. It also prevents the studs from digging in, and I kept losing grip. Riding it was barely possible. I decide to adjust the height of the studs a bit more so they make deeper contact with the ice. So I reach for my tool, but I don't reach quite far enough because I left the tool at home.
So I'm bringing them out a little bit so that way I can get more contact on the ice. But it will reduce how well they roll on asphalt.
My next test is to take the board out to Windermere to ride on the Windermere Whiteway ice track. The Whiteway is groomed into the frozen surface of Lake Windermere. It has the Guinness World Record for the world's longest Nordic skate track. The local Nordic club maintains its 30 kilometers, or 18.6 miles, of ice trail. Lake Windermere is actually part of the Columbia River, the same Columbia River that you see from Maryhill Loops Road in Washington State. I planned on showing up, riding a few kilometers to get some fun shots before joining my girlfriend on a cross-country ski workout. But I left our ski poles at home. I have ADHD, so I would have to ride myself and get my training sorted on the board. At first, I wasn't confident in the setup. I still had very little traction when I was rolling, but the extended studs were beginning to catch me when I would slide out. It worked a lot better than I was expecting. I was able to skate 25.5 kilometers with a top speed of 27.5 kilometers an hour. And 17 miles per hour for you Yanks. I kind of considered this to be a little bit of a joke. I didn't really expect to be able to ride on ice very well, let alone cover any distance. But 18 miles is no laughing matter. That said, there was still a little bit to be desired in the way of handling. Later that week, before work, I took the board to the Glenmore Athletic Park. The Glenmore Athletic Park is a recreational area in my hometown of Calgary.
They have a thing.
In the winter, the park has curling rinks, a playground, fire pits, and this really neat, well-maintained ice pathway. Now, being unstable when pushing is unnerving, so I begin slowly. After a few janky attempts, it just sort of clicked. The Supersonic is a great board for pushing, and even a better board for long distance pumping due to its setup options. And compared to most hybrid setups, it's very affordable. It's also a great board for learning how to pre-drift and Coleman slide. Dad Bods are comically huge wheels. If I was to compare them to other Otang wheels, I'd say they have a precision more akin to that of Kegel's than the larger, sloppier Caguamas. When I remove the studs, they have great roll and are super grippy. I'm also impressed with the Bear trucks. They're smooth and predictable, and that's exactly what you want in a downhill truck. They're lightweight and they fit well on modern setups. In the end, I took a fun idea that I thought would be impractical, but I ended up finding a whole new way to enjoy my longboard. I wouldn't consider it to be a high performer. It's at best mediocre on the road, and it's still a bit too fiddly on ice for me to recommend it as an activity for anyone other than those highly dedicated in riding their longboards. But with a few days of practice under the feet of an experienced skater, it works well enough to have fun or even cover some decent distance. Unlike the commercially available skate blades, it also works on snow, small gravel, and asphalt, and grass. And it's by far the most all-terrain longboard I've ever used. The next time you think trying something is a stupid idea, think again. The only stupid thing would be to not try it.